Right, Bournemouth are closing in on their fourth signing of the summer, young Ben Doak from Liverpool. This deal has divided opinions, some are big fans, some less so. In this video, you'll get some more information and you can then make an informed decision. With that being said, let's get right on into it. So this deal sort of came out of nowhere. There have been underlying links for pretty much the whole summer between Bournemouth and Ben Doak, but it was actually before the Liverpool game where it did seem to come out that talks were advancing and a deal did look likely to be struck. And struck it was, a £25 million package, but a sell-on clause for Liverpool. Everything I've just said then seems to be where the issues lie. Now, Doak is just 19 and relatively unproven, and therefore I think it has rubbed a few fans the wrong way that splashing out £25 million for a player with really one good championship season under his belt might not be the best transfer strategy. However, in spending £25 million, Bournemouth are clearly investing in his potential in the future. Now, this is also a problem because Liverpool have inserted a buyback clause into Doak's contract. Therefore, if Doak explodes and becomes a highly valuable asset with lots of teams sniffing around, Liverpool could get him below market value. So therefore, Bournemouth have taken full responsibility if the deal doesn't go well, but also aren't fully in control if it goes even to how they expect it to. And it's another one of those deals from Liverpool where fans haven't totally been convinced. We've seen it with Jordan Ibe, Brad Smith. Of course, Dom Solanke came good in the end, but there were question marks initially. And of course, the man currently in charge of transfers over on Merseyside is Richard Hughes, who obviously has a long storied history with the club. However, it has to be said this window, he has not done his former club any favours. Now, following the news that Bournemouth were advancing in talks to sign Ben Doak, he was removed from the Liverpool squad. He actually was supposed to be in that matchday squad to take on Bournemouth, but obviously he was taken out of that to maintain his fitness, and he could be featuring on Saturday against Wolves. Now, this deal is interesting because I do think Doak provides something which Bournemouth currently don't really have. He's been labelled as the replacement for Luis Sinisterra, who seems bound to be going out on loan this summer. And I'll get into some of the specifics a little bit further down the line in this video. But in short, Doak brings electric pace to the side. He's direct, a dribbler, and good with his crosses. And for me, if we're going to see him in any capacity on Saturday, I think it'll be from the bench. And I genuinely think he could cause teams all sorts of problems doing that this season. Immediately, he's going to have a hard job to replace the likes of Antoine Semenyo or David Brooks. I think those are the two players that are currently in pole position to lock down those wing spots. But that being said, Ben Doak, there's no reason why he can't displace David Brooks. Semenyo will be near on impossible to do. However, putting Semenyo out on the left opens up that right wing spot for the young Scot. And this is actually another deal that Bournemouth have beaten competition from fellow Premier League teams, but also teams in Europe. Porto, West Ham, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Ipswich, Everton, Nottingham Forest, Leeds, Monaco, Bologna, and his former club Celtic have all been credited with interest. Many of those teams putting bids in for the 19-year-old. And so, quite clearly, it's been another superb job from Thiago Pinto and Simon Francis to sell the project to the youngster and make it an attractive proposition for the future. Now, before I get on to the positives and do a bit of analysis on what we can expect from Ben Doak, I think one of the headlines that we did see when this deal was being sort of rumoured around is injuries. Now, despite being in the formative stages of his career, Doak has had his fair share of injuries. A hamstring one which kept him out for 119 days and a torn meniscus between late 2023 and summer 2024 which kept him out for 41 games across club and country. That means over around a year and a half he's missed 58 games. And look, it's never good to see a young career hampered by injury, and hopefully Doak has got the nasty ones out of the way and he can stay fit during his time on the South Coast. Now, with Doak replacing the seemingly permanently injured Luis Sinisterra, hopefully he spends a little bit less time in the treatment room and more time out on the pitch contributing for the club. Now, as I said, Doak is in the early stages of his career. Starting out at Celtic, he'll have that connection with Ryan Christie and also their teammates for Scotland, so that could be a potentially strong connection on the pitch as well as off it. Now, despite still being in his teens, Doak has achieved some success at club level. He won the Scottish Premiership in 2022 with Celtic and was included in the list of winners of the 2024 Carabao Cup with Liverpool. Now, despite being injured at the time of the final, he did start in the third round 3-1 victory over Leicester. Therefore, he did manage to pick up a medal for the team's cup success. Now, one of Bournemouth's key transfer strategies is to buy young players with big upside potential that can either improve to contribute on the pitch or be sold on for profit in the future. And Doak has been the recipient of praise from some of the top coaches and ex-players in football. Jurgen Klopp's former assistant manager at Liverpool likened Ben Doak to Mark Overmars and Ian Robben, saying these are players who can disorganise the opposition with speed and one-on-ones, qualities he does see in the young Scottish international. And Jurgen Klopp said something which I think many Bournemouth fans will be very happy to hear, saying that you cannot watch him without smiling, therefore hinting that he's direct and entertaining to watch as a player. And that's something which we get from the likes of Antoine Semenyo, Justin Kluivert, Evan Nilsson, and you can now add Doak to that list apparently. Now, it will be interesting to see which right-back Andoni Iraola decides to pair Doak up with, because Doak does love to maintain the width. He likes to have his feet out on the touchline and hold the width, stretch the play to cause issues for the opposition defence. Now, that does mean that I think his play style will clash with Mexican Julian Araujo. Not that I think Araujo will be the starting right-back. I do think it's probably right now between Adam Smith or James Hill. As seen against Liverpool, Hill was brought in to play that right-back slot. And actually, I think Doak would be more suited to playing with Smith or Hill than Araujo, purely because Smith and Hill are a bit more defensively orientated and are far less likely to try and get out on the overlap. And this could also have interesting implications for the fellow attacking players. Because, for example, when Antoine Semenyo plays out on the right, he likes to hold that half space between the fullback and the centre-back. Doak will stay out on the right with a considerable amount of width. And so that space, normally taken up by Semenyo, could be vacant when Doak is on the pitch. And that means it could make a nice channel for whoever is playing in the 10 to drop in and look to receive the ball. And it just adds another string to Iraola's bow when it comes to playing out from the back. If we can have some width as well as someone holding that half space, it just means we can look a little bit more dangerous going down the right. And it's something which I don't think Bournemouth were particularly strong at against Liverpool. The right-hand side was definitely less attacking orientated. A lot of the ball was channelled down to the left side. And potentially with this signing of Doak, it could just rebalance that and ask teams a few more questions. Now, I've mentioned how Doak could impact Iraola's playstyle, but there is also a really key problem that he does solve for the Cherries. Now, it's something we saw a lot of last season. Teams deciding to low block against Bournemouth, park every man behind the ball and really condense that space on the edge of the box. And Bournemouth faltered at the sign of this low block. They struggled to break it down, and it is a key reason why they dropped some points last season. But this signing could have just solved that problem. And it goes back to what I said at the start of this video when I said that Bournemouth do not have a player like Ben Doak, and he could be something which they really have been missing. And I'm going to do some comparisons between Doak and Antoine Semenyo and David Brooks. So, Doak had closer shot distance averages, so this is in yards, so 13.5 yards was the average distance for his shots. That's compared to Antoine Semenyo's 17. So this does just show that Doak is going to try and get closer to goal to get a shot off. And this is reinforced by his carries into the penalty area. Doak averaged 4.04 last season for Middlesbrough. That is a significant increase on Antoine Semenyo's 1.88. And it's really evident when you watch Doak play that that's what he's looking to do. He's looking to use his pace, slow his man down, beat him, get into the box and either deliver or have a go himself. Along with carries into the penalty area, Doak attempted more take-ons per 90 than Semenyo. Doak averaged around 5 per 90 with Semenyo's 3.79. And I know what you're thinking, do these take-ons and dribbles actually amount to anything? Well, Doak was top of the goal-creating actions when compared to Bournemouth's two wingers I've previously mentioned with 0.56. Therefore, all signs point to the fact that Doak is going to be good for breaking down a low block. He's tricky, technical, skillful, and can really cause some teams damage when they stand off him and sit back. Therefore, if the opposition managers decide to change their approach and send men out to put pressure on Doak, then there's space in the box, and Doak is also good with his crossing. Doak sat 6th amongst all Championship wingers for crosses to the box per 90, and therefore I actually think Evan Nilsson could really enjoy playing with the soon-to-be former Liverpool man, because Doak will either love to beat his man and cut back, or get an early cross in. And we know how smart Evan Nilsson is with the runs that he does make. And I actually felt sorry for him against Liverpool. He made some great runs, but wasn't quite being picked out. So therefore, again, have Bournemouth solved a creativity problem with this signing? Doak will also help supplement Bournemouth's counter-attacks, and it isn't actually something which Iraola's side need help with. However, Doak does post good numbers in this area. Out of himself, Semenyo and Brooks, Doak posted the most progressive carries of 6.77. And this just shows that it's a player Bournemouth can rely on to give the ball and help get them up the pitch. And that's something we saw with Antoine Semenyo's goal against Liverpool. It's clearly a quality that Andoni Iraola likes in his players, the ability to be able to get your head down and drive the team forward and also get something out of it at the end. However, I do think Doak will need a crash course in off-the-ball work under Andoni Iraola. We know Bournemouth are always up there when it comes to physical metrics, whether that's sprint speed, distance covered. It's a very hard-working team and one which Doak will have to acclimatise to very quickly if he is to earn his place. His off-the-ball stats aren't great to look at, and it is something that he'll have to change if he wants to make his mark at Dean Court this season. Now, there's no reason Doak can't learn. If you actually look at it, he's been at Celtic and Liverpool, barring the loan at Middlesbrough, but Celtic and Liverpool are two teams which like to dominate the ball. They're big teams, they're always looking to win games, and they will dominate possession. Therefore, he probably hasn't been taught the off-the-ball work as intensely as he will be on the South Coast. Doak did take part in Liverpool's pre-season, so I took a look at his game against Preston North End, and I tried to pick out some bits to show you, which I think really encapsulate what he can bring to the side. Now, as seen here, Doak loves to hold the width. Sometimes you could see a winger invert there and make a run infield, but instead he's stretching the play and creating space on the inside as well. And in this clip here, it's really obvious that Doak wants the crossfield ball to be played. Emphasis that he likes to get his man one-on-one and be direct, take him on and look to get an attacking outcome. As Liverpool get up the pitch and look to advance more in the attacking half, Doak makes his way into the box. The shot was held by the keeper, however, if it was spilled, Doak was going to be there first. The sort of reactions which can get you a lot of goals, especially in the Premier League. Now, I love this from Doak. He stays wide to receive the pass, but then he does look to stand his man up, slow the play down to accelerate into the space, finds the pass, but also look at that run continued forwards. He's always looking to get in behind and cause issues for the defence. As you can see, Preston are looking to play out, and Doak has adopted a more central position, but as you can see, he takes some definite, purposeful steps infield to force the ball round the outside. Now, that isn't very archetypal of an Iraola football team. What Bournemouth like to do is feed the ball into midfield where their ball winners can win possession back. The likes of Tyler Adams, Lewis Cook, Ryan Christie, that is where Bournemouth make the majority of their turnovers. Sending the ball around the outside is just giving the opposition more of a chance to hurt the Cherries. So Liverpool are playing out from the back. They have a very wide fullback in Frimpong. Doak shows for the ball, and how about that for a little bit of skill to beat his man and open up space in behind. The pass is maybe slightly lacking, however, you could say that nevertheless it is a good attacking opportunity purely created by Ben Doak. And it is really evident that those quick change of paces do kill fullbacks, and is something which I'm really looking forward to seeing Doak do both at Dean Court and on the road. It looks to me like Doak really runs on instinct. He'd almost rather play the game really quickly and as it comes to him deciding what he wants to do. I do think sometimes when he almost has too much time, he maybe makes the wrong choice. As shown in that clip, when he doesn't have too much time, he pulls out that bit of skill to find the space in behind. He has so much time to run and pick out the right pass that I actually think all of that time may be a slight negative. And I think that just comes with the territory of being a young, raw, talented player. He's not the finished product yet, but he has all the capabilities and the right tools at his disposal to reach those heights. And here's an example of why the crossfield ball to Doak is so deadly. The ball gets floated in behind, Doak takes a quick touch and then looks to beat his man. And once again, we see Doak loves to slow his man down, get them stationary so he can go either way, using his electric pace to really exploit the defensive weaknesses. And he does that here. A little drop of the shoulder and he's hit the byline. I think he's really unlucky actually not to win a penalty there. But again, nevertheless, it's a threat he can pose and questions to ask of the opposition back line. And here is why I think Doak can easily learn Andoni Iraola's style of football. Look at the quick reaction, the quick acceleration to go and win the ball back, and he's able to craft out an attacking chance as a result. And so all the signs point towards Doak being a good enough player to come and contribute now in the Premier League. And I actually think the people who have an issue with Doak joining Bournemouth are purely focusing on the finances. And the issue there is that clubs know Bournemouth have a lot of money. They've raised around 150 million just from 3 defenders alone, and therefore clubs are asking for maybe slightly inflated prices for their players. And so, if Bournemouth are to get any players through the door whatsoever, they are going to have to slightly overpay on the whole. And yes, 25 million for Ben Doak may be on the expensive side, but I think the primary disagreement is really with that buyback clause. I think it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Bournemouth to fork out 25 million to secure the player, but then also potentially not secure the maximal profits in the future. However, discarding the finances for a minute and focusing purely on what the player can bring, I do think he solves a problem that Bournemouth have. And look, if he explodes at Bournemouth and contributes to their rise up the league table, I don't think we'll hear any complaints about the price tag. With that being said, I do hope you've enjoyed this video and are looking forward to potentially watching the Cherries' latest signing this Saturday against Wolves. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.